Sorry to let you down. This is not the second part of the soffit and fascia job. That video has about 7 hours of video content filmed over the course of 6 days, and I want to get it right the next video, so I'm taking a little extra time and making sure I include the important parts, and I'm also doing the voiceover so that I can give some information about the important parts as you watch me do the work. Over the last week, the activity in the comment section has exploded. Now, I usually average 20 to 30 comments a day, but now it's hundreds of comments a day, which is pretty awesome. That's the reason for this video, is I'll see a question, and like when I'm on my phone driving, which I probably shouldn't be doing, and I was like, oh, when I get home, I'm gonna, type out a real answer to this question, and then I can't find it again. So I've picked 2 questions that I've seen asked over and over and over again over the last 6 months, and I'm gonna answer those today. In no particular order. The first question is, why don't you have a helper? Why don't you have an employee? The second question is, how do you know how to do all this stuff? First question, why don't I have a helper? And the blunt answer is, I don't need one. Now, the more technical answer is, once you do all the math of what it costs to have an employee in this industry, their Social Security and Medicare, which is over 7%, their unemployment insurance, their workman's comp insurance, their liability insurance, and their hourly wage, and local taxes. You have to pay for if you pay someone more than $500 in a month, you got to pay another fee to the city and county. Then there is a whole bunch of filings you have to do with the labor board when you have a corporation. That's a headache. It costs a lot of time, and even though I do have an accounting firm that does all the taxes and the filings, it's just more fees to process, to pay them to figure all this stuff out too. So in the end, the employee costs more than they make me. I know a lot of guys who can't do any of this type of work without a helping hand. And can't is probably not the right word. They just won't do it. They don't want to work hard enough to figure out an innovative way to hold that board up there, or to do whatever the job takes. That leads me to the next reason why I do all the work myself. I don't have to pay any money out, and I make a lot of money by doing it all myself. That's really the main reason, is I make so much more money by not paying someone to do stuff that I can do on my own. The next question is, how do you know how to do all this stuff? And the answer to that I'd have to tell you my life story. And I started out 10, 11, 12 years old. Even younger, I was fixing things and building things. About the same time, I started stick welding. And when I was 15, I went to work for a family business as just a grunt labor, sweeping, carrying bundles of shingles up on top of roofs. And this is getting more into the whole life story, but at 18, I started an electrician's apprenticeship. I did go to trade school, which wasn't really a trade school, it was a college, on being an electrician. And these classes, you get these certifications, and they fast track you through the apprenticeship program to get your RW, your journeyman's, and your master license. I got quite a ways into that, and I was doing production home building. And there was this guy that would always walk in with a white hard hat and a polo shirt and just say, how's things going, guys? Good, see you later. I'm like, man, who is that guy, and how do I get his job? Well, that guy was a superintendent. So I decided at that point I did not want to lug around gigantic wire wheels and pull wire in 2x4 built houses for the rest of my life, and I went to college. Couldn't just go to a major university. You have to get into it. So I had to go to a community college for 16 credits and get a B, which is, 3.0 or better, and then I could transfer in to the university that had the program that I wanted to do. So that's the story. I went to college. I was a business major and a construction management major. I ended up not getting a double or a minor. I just went full-on construction management in the end. That led me to a career as a superintendent and then a project manager, and then that's where things changed. I was building residential housing, production home building, where I was managing about 24 houses at any stage of construction. And then, the economy fell out, and I took a little retirement. I moved to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, onto a sailboat. And that's where I turned into an entrepreneur. I had mentors, business mentors, that really, really inspired me. And that's a story for a whole nother day. Now, after all that blabbing, I still didn't address how I know how to do all this stuff. I come from a family that does it themselves. Even though they didn't work in any sort of construction industry, my dad worked at IBM, my mom worked at Lockheed Martin, my grandfather ran a laboratory for DuPont. When they would come home from work and something needed to be repaired on the house, they did it themselves. Something needed to be repaired on the car, they did it themselves. They needed the basement finished, they did it themselves. My grandfather retired in his 50s and he wanted to build his retirement home. He built it himself. It's just something, I guess, that was bred into me, that we do it ourselves and we don't depend on anybody else. Some of it's passed down from generation to generation. My dad read books. My grandfather taught my dad some things. And my dad, I remember he got VHS videos on how to build countertops when we wanted a new countertop in our house. Myself, I've been building things and taking things apart and fixing them since I was like 5 years old. It's just second nature to me on looking at something, visually taking it apart and visually reassembling it, and just know how to do it. Now, since I've been in business, it's been 9 years. Doing it every day, you get really good at it and you get very efficient at it. And you challenge yourself. You take on that challenge and you conquer it and you apply that to the next one. And it's a big snowball effect. And 10 years later, I'm still learning. I'm 41 and I've been professionally working in the construction industry since I was 18. That's when I started as an electrician. Leave a comment below if you want to see more Q&A type videos in the future. It won't be a regular thing, maybe once every 2 weeks. I can answer a repetitive question or a question that someone asks over and over again. Now on the soffit and fascia job, there's a ton of questions on there. I will be answering those job specific questions at the beginning of the next part. That next part will be out Wednesday morning, which is the 6th? Whatever. It's going to be out this coming Wednesday.